I'm Ryan Marsh, your moderator, and look forward to diving into the price of transition with my fellow panelists. So, joining me today, we have Beau Roskow, Chief Executive Officer of Naglee Moving and Storage. We have Cody Gordan, Sales Manager of MoveBees, as well as Cassie Fitzwater, Operations Manager of MoveBees. So, again, appreciate you three joining on. How's everybody doing today?
Doing great, Ryan.
Yeah, we're doing well. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. A little audio there. We'll get that one figured out. But so we only have 30 minutes to cover this one, and we've got a lot to roll into. So let's jump right into this here.
All right.
Slide.
Hey, you know what, Ryan? Let me fix this audio issue real quick. You guys just keep rolling, and I'm gonna jump right back in. Is that okay?
Sounds good. We'll roll, mate. We'll roll. All right.
1 second.
All right. Well, we're going to keep rolling here just to keep respectful on time. But so we've asked Americans who are looking to move, basically, what do you value the most about pricing? And surprisingly enough, it was not the lowest possible price. It actually was no hidden fees and no surprise costs, followed up by upfront and transparent pricing. And if we break that data down just a touch further, it's interesting. The younger the generation, the less that they valued price. The older the generation, the more price conscious that they are. So, Beau, it seems like it's just you and I at this point. So I'm going to kick this question over to you if that's all right. So kind of letting that all sink in and kind of looking at the data down below. What's your take on this? And what have you and your sales team seen with your customers when it comes to transparent pricing?
No, it's a great question, Ryan. And it's great to see the data come up because sales can be so emotional. And I think you can get a lot of biases baked into how you approach certain sales and really flipping that script to be really customer centric. And by being customer centric is really who is that customer? Because now that we see such a mix of generations that are using these services, it's important to ask those probing questions right in the front. There are folks that are going to want to know the details about pricing. There are folks that want to just have no hidden costs. So that initial introductory of doing more asking than more telling, so you can get a good feel of who you're servicing as well as what you're trying to solve for them individually has really been the key to our success to landing and converting these leads.
No, that's excellent. Cody, since you popped back on here, I just want to bring this back up here. But so we asked Americans, what do they value the most about pricing? It was not the lowest possible price. It was no hidden fees, no surprise costs, followed by that upfront and transparent pricing. So more or less, what do you generally recommend and how do you guide your customers through while evaluating price?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we've noticed here. Just in the change, especially I would say this past year, working with different companies, working with different client base, is the transition of obviously we all need to be closers and we need to work on overcoming objections and working on those rebuttals. But we've noticed if you do a great job of being clear and relaying to them exactly how the billing structure works, the line items on the charges, exactly what they can expect, and really just explaining to them different ways. Hey, this is how it works. If it's a local and it's an hourly rated quote, kind of going into, this is what you can expect. A lot of our customers, these are a few ways that they like to save some money, save some time, whatever the situation is, and just really kind of clarifying to them, there are no hidden fees. What you're going to see right on this estimate is exactly what you're going to get. And really the only way it changes is if it takes more or less time to complete the move. So I mean, I've seen a total switch in the past year with just trying to focus in on that aspect of things and being very clear. And you really don't even have to go into the rebuttals as much as long as that customer service side of things is super, super great. We're all salesmen, but I try to express to our teams, you're almost like disguised as salesmen and you're acting as customer service. And if the customers kind of get that feeling, they're booking.
I think that ties back into Beau is just kind of asking the right questions, being a good listener and trying to dial that in. But when you look at the data here, it's between no surprise costs and hidden fees, upfront transparent pricing, and a detailed cost estimate. I mean, that makes up about 92% of the response. So are you both of you kind of seeing this in your day-to-day business here where the younger generation is not so, cost conscious? It's more about the upfront transparent pricing and service, as well as the older generation, are you seeing that on that kind of same flip side that it's all about lowest possible price?
So Ryan, I'll field that. Yes, we are. I think if you even look a little bit different, your younger generation is a different consumer. They do a lot more research than what maybe some of the other generations do. So some of them start with the end in mind. The others already have done this. So they are just more validating that what they have checked, AKA, does your audio match your video? They are already doing the research to say, okay, you should be X, Y, Z. Now I want to make sure that at the end of the day, that's exactly what it's going to be. The younger generation is coming in a lot more prepared than maybe some of your other prior moves 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just see it as so huge, especially with the younger generations, is you know, the follow-up process, you know, and that's what we're here at MoveBees. That's what we kind of like structure everything on, is the follow-up. And with that younger generation, they want to make sure everything's in line. Give me one moment.
Carrie, yourself.
Sorry, we got to switch our rooms here. We're having internet connections back in the previous room we were in. But yeah, so the follow-up process is making a huge impact on that, because they really just want to make sure that everything, you know, they have everything straight. They know exactly what to expect, and they're not going to get caught off guard with any surprise charges. And we're seeing that with them wanting to call around a lot. And that's where we're really just trying to arm them with the right questions that's going to help us and make sure we're really servicing them the best way possible, of making sure they're understanding exactly what they're going to get on the day of the move.
Yeah, great insight there, Cody. I'd like to get kind of switching gears over to the next topic here. So appreciate you all on the transparent pricing. But this one, I want to say, was surprising, but not so much. But when we polled Americans, right, 76% of Americans looking to move said that they expect your moving company to offer valuation coverage as an add-on to protect their belongings. I mean, that's a major majority, and potentially something moving companies who are not offering valuation today can potentially capitalize. So this seems like, you know, really simple add-on. However, to me, it kind of truly depends on the quality that your company is delivering, right? So I'd like to open this one up to the panel and just kind of a couple questions here. But I guess number one is, what's been your customers' response to you all while you're offering the valuation?
A lot of our customers, especially the older generations that would have antiques, heirlooms, things like that, that really mean a lot to them, really appreciate when we can say, yes, we've got full valuation, especially when they're moving intrastate or interstate. We can tell them everything is fully covered, especially when they know that something's going to be in a vehicle like for 4 to 5 hours with stops and goes and bumps along the way. They really appreciate that. Upfront as well with their pricing. So we, a lot of times with intrastates or interstates, provide that pricing as a line item so that they can see right away exactly what that cost is going to be and what the coverage is going to be. And it takes a lot of the worry out of their moving process.
No, that's great. Cody, anything to add to that?
The big thing with valuation, I think, is, you know, when a lot of times the customers do bring it up. Obviously, a lot of times they'll bring it up kind of like as insurance, and we gotta kind of route them to exactly what the valuation actually is. And what I'm noticing, you know, what we've noticed here at MoveBees is kind of how we approach it with the customers. We're seeing an increase in getting customers to kind of go with the valuation, and kind of how we stress that we believe the best way to handle that is a soft touch during the sale when you're giving them the estimate and you're kind of go overing what they can expect on moving day. We kind of give a soft touch and we mention it. If they bring it up, obviously we want to go right into it and talk about it. But we believe like the best time to really sell the valuation is during the confirmation call, when you can upsell maybe on materials, but also just stress, make sure that they're prepared and see if they're interested in the additional valuation. And that's where we're seeing the majority of the valuation being sold. But it definitely is something that's typically asked about. And they love to have a company that kind of offers that rather than have the third party something out.
No, excellent. Great thing there, Cody. But for Beau, obviously with almost 80% of Americans saying that they expect your moving company to offer the valuation coverage, at what point do you bring this up in conversation? I feel like this is kind of part of that transparency and pricing as well. But when do you all bring this up throughout the process? And how are you guys kind of covering this today?
Yeah, no, great question, Ryan. And I would back it all the way up when we were talking about the initial transparency and explanation. There is such a gap with awareness and education for a lot of people who relocate to begin with. So really focusing on a common language, and we approach this because valuation is, I mean, we've already seen 3 questions pop up of the moving industry saying, what exactly is valuation? So we have a hard time explaining this in our own industry, not alone hand this off to a consumer. So we really start with just telling that story of where that would be. There's also a lot of assumption from a consumer standpoint. They would automatically assume if you're taking my stuff, there would have to be a level of protection of the industry you're in. So we really spend that time to anchor in the beginning to determine have they moved before, and again, finding out what their story is. And then we determine the depths of education that we go into valuation or using a more common standard, because we don't like to use the word insurance. But most of the times, that's what the consumer understands. That's the closest touches they've had to understanding how that process will work. And then we use that to bring it into our industry to give them the best value possible for what we have. So it's really a big education and awareness play.
No, 100%. But Cody, Carrie, anything to add to that before we go on to the next?
I think you covered it really, really well. I see some good questions in the chat regarding valuation as well. I don't know if we're gonna cover any of that, but
Yeah, I want to dive in. Looks like there's a question here, kind of going back to the transparent pricing, if you don't mind here. So how can you be transparent with pricing, but also consider the number of factors into how we price? We can't just give straight prices without knowing the nuances of their move. I guess that was that something where somebody's whoever asked the question there, are you asking as like kind of a quick quote or something like that? A customer calls in is looking for a price, and you're just going to kind of spat out whatever you may think it is, or is this more or less kind of in the lines of kind of sharing every line item of a particular price? So might need to know a little bit more about that question, unless anybody here wants to dive into that for 30 seconds.
yeah, I can talk quickly. It sounds like I'm not sure if he's taken full list of inventories on every single quote, but it sounds like a lot of customers, when they call in, they're asking for what the pricing is. So it's hard to be very clear with them on what it is when you don't know to understand the details of the move. Here at MoveBees, we work with companies across the country, even in the Canada a little bit. But so we stress just process. You got to have a process. You got to have a habit to keep things consistent. And I think, when it comes to the sales, there is no secret. It's being able to implement a consistent process. And, once you're able to do that, that's where the mistakes stop being made. And that's when you really start becoming like the salesman, and you can work with every customer. But when it comes to that value, making sure that the line items are clear is, get that accurate list of inventory. We stray from telling customers right off the get-go what our hourly rates are, because there's so many other pricing that goes in there. If I just tell them our hourly rate is $165, by the time I get to the actual quote, they're going to be upset because I didn't mention all these other charges, right? And I can't tell them what these other charges are because, one, I don't know how many movers we needed. I don't know how much travel there is. I don't know any of this information. So we just kind of tell them, there's a lot of variables that go into it. Let me talk to you for here a couple minutes. Let me get some details, and I'll be able to provide you with an accurate quote.
No, great points made there. Looks like we had another pretty good question coming in here. Thoughts on automatically including valuation in their pricing instead of a separate line item? So Andrew or Drew, are you basically saying that, like, hey, every move or every price just comes automatic with valuation? And I guess for the panel here, what are your thoughts on including valuation kind of baked into the price throughout every move?
Yeah, we have a couple companies here at MoveBees that automatically include full valuation with their moves, and it is written in the contracts when the customer goes to sign the estimate for the move. So what they do there is, for automatically providing that valuation, they also need to sign a waiver if there's any item that they don't let us properly pack or crate due to their own choice. So if we have like a statue or artwork or anything like that they're wanting to pack themselves, but we know that the liability of it being damaged, the way that they would most likely pack it, could happen, then we would need them to sign a waiver stating that they waive that full valuation coverage because they're not letting us properly pack that for them. But otherwise, everything that they are provided with the move would be covered under full valuation.
Excellent. And last question to you all before we move on to the next topic here, but just 10-15-second answers if you don't mind. And we'll start with Beau. Do you believe that basically providing the valuation coverage enhances the customer experience and their trust with you and the organization?
Yes. I think anytime you can offer additional value to help validate the brand and quality that you're trying to offer is always going to be a benefit along those lines. It's, I think when you continue to be efficient and effective, it gives you the opportunity to give more value in other places to also keep that price competitive. So yes, I do.
Excellent. Over to you, Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it builds a lot of trust. It shows that, it shows confidence in the movers, I think, as well, because we're not afraid to, put this additional valuation on your job because we're going to come out there and get this done right. And I think it goes a long way. Customers are really looking for a company that's going to, handle all of that together and not have to deal with another company.
Absolutely. Carrie.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of them said. It definitely creates, a trust in us, and they really do appreciate that transparency as well of what's included, with their estimate, with the limitations of what we can provide with valuation, and it's just something that the customers just really appreciate.
No, excellent. So we're going to jump on to the next one here, as we only got about 7 minutes left to get this one here, and this one's pretty big here, I would say, and that's willingness to pay more. So we asked Americans basically what makes the customer want to pay more for one company over another company, and the top 5 responses were rather interesting. So valuation coverage, right? We just kind of capped on that. And but remember, I mean, almost 80% of your future customers expect you to offer it. So there's potential for another stream of revenue if you're not offering that today. But going on to the second bullet point here, which I think this one's really interesting, and I keep hearing more and more about this as I'm talking to hundreds of business owners, since I've been a part of the Supermove. But payment flexibility. Do any of you offer this today? And kind of, if so, what does it look like? And obviously, you have your credit card, your cash, and your certified bank checks, but any other certain payment options or short-term financing or anything kind of along the lines of payment flexibility are any of you 3 offering today?
Yeah, I'll take this first, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, I think with the explosion of mobile payment services, your Venmos and PayPals, and what we have transitioned over the last 10 years, there's a lot more consumer options now. So to limit yourself to the old certified check and make sure it's there of where the old written rules were, you can really handcuff yourself. So with the, there is some fees that are associated, but the convenience that this has been able to give our consumers and give our customers who are used to using these pay solutions with everything else that they shop for, it's given us an edge to make the experience that much easier and just one less hassle piece.
Awesome. Cody or Carrie, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Beau. Just growing with the different, being flexible with the different types of payment is definitely huge. When it comes to actual like payment plans, I don't know if it's kind of referencing that kind of directly, I'm not seeing that as much. I know some companies have done it and steered from it just because maybe they've gotten burned from it. But we have seen other strategies such as, hey, a customer calls in, 3 months in advance, which, can be rare sometimes, but we love it as a moving company, right? Because you're not worried about fitting into the last minute. But we've seen some discussions with, hey, if you get booked now, don't be afraid, almost a payment plan is call in once a week, once a month, and put some money towards that move. So by the time your move comes around, it's almost like a larger deposit, right? So you're making those types of payment plans, yes, but when it comes to payment plans after the move, not really seeing as much.
No, excellent. And so kind of skipping off that one here, I mean, down to multiple services offered, which came up number 3 in the poll. And I think this one is definitely a differentiator for many companies out there. But outside of standard moving services, and this is something Nick and Wanjun kind of touched on in the first session about kind of being a little bit differentiator and doing things just a touch different, but outside of standard moving services, is there anything that you guys are offering at your organizations currently? And kind of examples are, TV mounting, cleaning services, kind of that whole geek squad approach, sort of say. But what other services are you offering your clients today? And have you seen any of those services that you do offer as a major value add to your customer today?
Yeah, I've seen definitely some crating. It's usually offered by maybe like a third party. They definitely appreciate peace of mind of not having to worry about those types of items on moving day. And then a few other companies that I've worked with have offered unpacking services or organizational services. And those really get picked up by people that are moving their parents possibly into assisted living. They only have a few items. They want everything organized. Maybe there's like a mobility issue where they will not be able to unpack themselves. So they really love the option of us staying until the job is completely done and they are like move-in ready, can sit down and relax and not have to worry about anything like that. So the organizational side of it has been a pretty good hit with the companies that I've seen.
No, that's excellent. So again, dropping down number 4, again, willingness to pay more. We already spoke about this one here, transparent pricing. So the more transparent that we can be, our organizations can be, the better chance that, that particular customer or your future customer is willing to pay more. And again, just 90% of customers, keep that in mind to everybody listening here, expect the detailed estimates. They expect no hidden fees. And of course, they want that upfront trans pricing. So to me, it's all an explanation of the details, as Beau said earlier in the conversation. But jumping down to the last one here, as we're getting a little touchy on time here, but customer service and support. And quite frankly, I mean, me personally, I am way more willing to pay more for anything if I've got that customer service and support side of it. So it's rather surprising that this kind of adds, goes down to the, kind of the middle of the list. But customer service support, I mean, this is critical in today's digital age. So all of us on this call are being compared to the Amazons of the world, as I've always said. So consumers are no longer comparing customer service in like industries, right? So they expect the same service and support no matter where they spend their money. So, and that includes all of us sitting here today. So Beau, Cody, and Carrie, as we kind of wind down this last session here, how are you all building the best service and support for your customers today? And are there any little nuggets that you can pass along to the audience today of, what have you learned along the way with building that best in support and customer service that both your organizations offer?
Hey, Ryan, I'll jump just because of a time aspect to hit on this. It all starts and ends with the customers. I started in an industry that was prior to the moving industry that their number one focus is customer oriented. And you have to listen. The consumer is constantly evolving. And I love that point of saying you can't compare your silo anymore. You got to compare the entire customer experience. So having that time to listen, stay curious, see what's leading edge, see what's best practice, but also don't get stuck in legacy practices. You have to be flexible and have the ability to pivot to what is going to take customer service to the next level. And this isn't something you guess at. This is something you listen and research with. The answers are out there if you ask the right questions, hear the feedback, and then make the changes. So.
No, thank you, Beau. That's awesome. Again, if you do have to jump here in the next 30 seconds, please feel free to pop off and I'll round out the session with Cody and Carrie here. But thank you.
I appreciate it all. Thank you.
Cody and Carrie, any additions to that kind of back off of what Beau was mentioning there? How are you guys? I mean, obviously, we know that MoveBees, you guys do a phenomenal job with your customer service and support. There's no question about it. So what's the magic sauce? What's the magic juice? What are you guys doing kind of behind the scenes there to truly, give that that customer that unequivocal, extremely crazy experience that you all provide? And I threw some
Yeah.
words, I don't even know why I said that, but that ultimate customer experience that you all provide, that's better.
Yeah, we definitely make sure that with the companies that we work with, whenever we have a customer that calls in, they work with the same salesperson from start to finish, even though we're covering multiple companies. So if they have any questions in the beginning, we're building that rapport as we're moving through the estimate, pricing them out, making sure that everything is okay with their moving day. Even if they need to call in with reschedules or delays or anything like that, they're constantly talking with that person that they got their estimate from, who answered the phone the first time and talked to them from the very beginning. So even though, we cover a lot of companies, they have that personalized experience and they don't even know that they're talking with someone outside of MoveBees or, outside of the company that they booked with, because MoveBees makes ourselves a part of that team with every company that we work for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I can jump in real quick. I know we're running short, but Yeah, I would definitely say here at MoveBees, we really look at ourselves as lifelong learners, and we're always looking to get better. And I think that's what makes the big difference is we're not settling. We're huge on networking. We love to go to events and just learn from, different people. I know here at MoveBees team, we're really looking forward to going to the Moving Titan Retreats event in March. That's going to be huge. So we are super excited to that. So shout out to them. I know they're doing such an amazing job with what they're doing. But just different things like that. That's what's really helping us step up and kind of being above of the competition, right? And just we're building rapport with the customer and just being clear with them. I think that's really what sets us apart. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard anything about it, I would definitely check out the Moving Titan Retreat. It's going to be huge. You can even give us a call if you're interested in going. But here at MoveBees, I mean, just focusing on the sales end of things and not getting complacent. We just want to keep growing and we want to just learn new strategies.
No, excellent. Those guys are doing amazing things. I follow them online, and I just love the energy that they're putting into this industry. And it's been a breath of fresh air to see what those folks are doing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of running up on time here. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the box, but if you happen to have a question, please pop one in, and I'll absolutely get to that here after this session and into the next. But Cody, Carrie, I know Beau had to drop off, but really appreciate you guys popping on here, taking the time to review this stuff with here and kind of pump out this data to all the listeners that we have, and really appreciate what you and MoveBees are doing for this industry as a whole. So I appreciate you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, I
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
for
it.